fourth graders, we are ready for our math lesson today, and we are on Module 5, Lesson 23, and we are going to be adding and multiplying unit fractions. So when you're ready, you can flip to your notes for today from your table of contents, and we will see our objective says, I can multiply whole numbers and unit fractions, okay, just like our title implies. Now, I wanted to quick review a couple of vocabulary words with you before we get started today. And we've heard these words. I just want us to have it fresh in our minds because we'll use them a lot today. The first one is an improper fraction. So an improper fraction is a fraction whose numerator is greater than the denominator. It is greater than 1. So when my numerator is larger than my denominator, it's called an improper fraction. When I think about that word improper and the prefix im, right, I know that it means it's not proper. This isn't the right way to have a fraction. So anytime I see an improper fraction, I want to fix it. And the way I fix it is by turning it into a mixed number. And remember, a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction. So while you may have an answer in an improper fraction and it's the correct answer, the better way to write it is to change it into a mixed number, and we're going to focus on that today. And so here's what we're going to start with. It says multiply a whole number and unit fraction. Remember, unit means it has a 1 in the numerator, using repeated addition and the associative property. Now, the reason I put parentheses around the associative property is, if you remember, when I want to associate with someone, that's who I have in my group. Okay, these people are in my group. I associate with them. The associative property in math means that I'm grouping numbers together to make a new problem, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So my first one says 6 times 1/3. Now, we've done this. Okay, fourth graders, some of this is review. So the first thing I'm going to do is write 1/3 plus 1/3 plus. And remember, how many times am I going to do this? If you said 6, you are correct because that's what my problem tells me. I need one more. When I get this and I add all of these together, I know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 thirds. Okay? Now, here's that problem because it looks like an improper fraction where my numerator is greater than my denominator. Okay? Now, another way we can look at this problem using our associative property, and another way I could write it is by going like this. I can group these together. Okay? And if I were to group these together, that looks like to me 2 groups of 3 thirds. And if I had 2 groups of 3 thirds, I would take my 2 and I would multiply it by my 3, and it equals, again, 6 thirds. Well, look at that. I get the same answer. But here's that problem again. We have to change it to a mixed number. So I want to find a way to change 6 thirds. And so remember, I always am looking for my whole. So if I were to pull out a whole, that would be 3 thirds. How many do I have left? I have another 3 thirds. Well, look at that, my friends. 3 thirds is 1 plus another 3 thirds is 1. And so really, when I rewrite this answer, it is 2. It doesn't have to be a mixed number this time. It turned out to be a whole number. 6 times 1/3 equals 2. Okay? Showing you this way is just another way to write it, okay, because I associated them differently. So let's try another one. This time I have 8 times 1/2. So here we go. We're going to write 1/2 plus 1/2, and we're going to do this 8 times. So join with me as you take your notes. Every once in a while I need to check, fourth graders, that I have enough. Okay, so when I get here, and I get all the way through, I know that I have 8 halves. But again, that looks like an improper fraction. And I also want to see how could I do this differently and find a new way to associate them differently. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to group them 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So already, 4th graders, you should maybe be seeing how I could group this together. Okay. So I have 2 groups of 4 halves. Oh, that's an interesting way, which still equals 8 halves. Okay. Now if I were to turn my 8 halves improper fraction into a number bond, you're going to notice a couple of things. I'm going to go 2 halves. How many do I have left? 6. Okay, let's get another 2 halves. Remember, I'm always looking for a whole. All right, how many do I have left? 4. Ooh, let's get another 2 halves. How many do I have left? 2. Let's get another 2 halves out of here. Now I've used them all. 2, 4, 6, 8 halves. If all of these, here's a whole 1. Here's a whole 2. Here's a whole 3. Here's a whole number 4. So 8 halves is really the same thing as 4. So I'm multiplying these unit fractions and changing them using my number bonds and the associative property. So now let's look and see how I can multiply and see what this looks like on a number line. Remember, 4th graders, we're teaching you all of these strategies so that you have a way to feel successful using our multiplication. You can use the strategy that you feel most confident in. So we're going to do 10 times 1/5. Now, I'm not going to have you write it out 10 times because we know the answer is going to be 10 fifths. All right, so if I have 10 fifths, I want to figure out what would that be on my number line. Well, I'm going to break it down in my number bond first. Okay, so I'm looking for a whole, and that would be 5 fifths. Okay, 4th graders, look at my nail color. It matches my pen perfectly. How many I have left is another 5 fifths. Oh, wait a minute. 5 fifths and 5 fifths makes 2. That's 2 is my answer. I want to see what that looks like on my number line. So we're going to go from 0. We're going to put 1 in the middle, and we're going to put 2 on the end. Okay. Now, because I'm working in fifths, I want to see what this looks like. So I'm going to go, here's 1 fifth, 2 fifths, 3 fifths, 4 fifths. I know 5 fifths is the same as 1. I'm going to keep going. 6 fifths, 7 fifths, 8 fifths, 9 fifths, and we just figured out 10 fifths is the same thing as 2. Let's count and see that when I do 10 times 1/5, I get all the way to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fifths leaves me right here at 2. So that's one way I can show my work on that number line. So let's try one more like that. And this time I have 7 times 1/2. And so again, I'm not going to make you write out all of our repeated addition like we did over here. We know that 7 times 1/2 would equal 7 halves. I'm multiplying my whole number times the numerator. But 7 halves, again, is that improper fraction. I have to get rid of that. And so I'm going to start pulling out halves to be a whole number. So there's 2 halves. If I take 2 away, I have 5 left. So I still have some more I can get out. There's 2 more. So now I have 3 left. I still have enough to get out 2 halves. Okay, now what's left? 2, 4, 6. I have 1/2 left. So when I look at this, I see 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1/2 equals 3 1/2. So now I want to show that on my number line. So I'm going to go 0. We're going to go 1, 2. Now I have more than 3, so I need 3. And the last one is going to be 4. Now because I'm dealing in halves, I can divide my number line in halves. So here's 1/2. This makes 2 halves. 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 6 halves, 7 halves. And this is where I wanted to end, which is right at 3 1/2, like we said. So again, using that number line is just a strategy. We're going to flip to that next page, and this is where we're really going to focus on just using our number bond to decompose. And it says write the product as a mixed number if needed. So some of those ones on the first page were just whole numbers, and we didn't need to write it as a mixed number. So let's start with this one. 12 times 1/4. I can tell already when I take 12 times 1 that I'm going to get 12/4. Can I be done with that, friends? If you said no, you're correct, because remember, an improper fraction has a numerator that's greater, and so I've got to change it, and we need to write it as a mixed number. So my goal is to find all the wholes I can pull out. So I'm going to pull out a whole, and that would be 4/4. So if I took from 12, I already took 4 away, I have 8 left. So I have enough to make another 4/4. I had 8. I used another 4, so I have 4 left. I have enough to make 1 more whole. I'm going to count by 4s just to make sure that I have 4, 8, 12. Oh, that's just enough. I know that all of these 4/4 is like saying 1 plus 1 plus 1. So the correct way to write 12/4 is 3. 12 times 1/4 equals 3. Let's try again. Notice my words are different this time. It says 7 copies of 1/3. Well, I want to start and I want to write this using math instead of all these words. So I'm going to say 7 copies of. That's just like saying groups of or times. Okay, I've got 7 groups of, 7 copies of 1/3. So all of these words is really this number sentence, 7 times 1/3. Well, when I do that, and I'm just multiplying 7 with my numerator, I get 7/3. Can I leave it that way? Uh-oh, improper fraction. I've got to change it. So I'm going to pull out and I'm going to look for as many wholes as I can. So that means I'm going to pull out thirds. There's 3. I started with 7. I've used 3. That means I have 4 left. I have enough to get another whole. All right, I've used 6. So what I have left is just 1/3. So now I'm going to write it again and say, okay, 3/3 is 1, plus another 3/3 is 1, plus a 1/3. And my answer is 2 1/3. This is my mixed number. Now I can be finished. Excellent job. All right, let's look again. This time I have 17 times 1/6. Friends, this is when it's really nice that I don't have to write my repeated addition, because that would be a lot of 1/6. So I know that it would equal 17/6. But again, I'm left with an improper fraction, so I can't stop here. I'm going to start looking for as many wholes as I can pull out. So 6/6. Well, I had 17. I pull out 6. That means I have 11 left. I have enough. So I'm going to get 6 again. All right. Well, this time I've used 12. I had 17. That means, how many do I have left? I don't have enough to make another whole, but I had 5/6 left. So I'm going to say 1 plus 1 plus 5/6 equals 2 5/6. And that's my final answer. Now here's our last one, friends, where I'm multiplying and getting it to be written as a mixed number instead of improper fraction. I have this wordage again, 9 copies of 1/4. So I'm going to rewrite it to be math 9 times 1/4. And I know that equals 9/4. Again, my numerator is greater. I have got to pull out those wholes. So we're going to look for 4/4. Okay, I have 5 left, so I have enough. I can get out another 4/4. I've used 8 now. I only have 1/4 left. So 4/4 is 1, plus another 4/4 is 1, plus 1/4 equals 2 1/4. Excellent job multiplying today and hanging in there. When you are working on your own today, 4th graders, I want you to focus on this strategy of using our number bond to break it apart. Excellent work.